show. I am here because it is the holidays. And I will start with Happy Hanukkah to people who celebrate that began at sunset tonight with candles and a menorah. And there are so many light holidays at this time of the year. I would actually start back in October with Diwali and move forward and say that we just had a Samhain or a All Hallows Eve, and now we are into the rush after a very awkward Thanksgiving. We move on to many, many holidays that have to do with how much money are you spending on me as a way to show me how much you love me. So sadly, that is how I see a lot of what is happening these days. Hello to Bryn Hayward. Nice to have you here, and we are just settling in to have a brief conversation about the hollow days of this time of year. And I want to say, I really don't want to demean anybody's celebrations. I just know that they can bring on a lot of stress. So this is the time where I am happy as an estranged member of a very dysfunctional family where at least half of my blood relatives are in no contact kind of talking situations. Some consciously, some just by the numbers. It's like, well, you haven't spoken to me in 4 years or whatever. So I recognize that I don't have a lot of family pressures anymore. I don't know whether people consider that good, bad, or not a big deal, but I am alone enough that I can take a somewhat objective look at these hollow days. So the first thing I did was I went and had myself a very different. Who knew it was the last Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade moment this year when I watched that? I watched that event and saw something very special and wonderful happen, something terrible and strange happen with respect to a phenomenon that is known as K-pop demon hunters. Anybody out there listening who has anyone in their life that is female and under the age of 15, you probably know what I'm talking about. But there is an animated film that's pretty hot right now. Thank you, Maggie Wang and company. And at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, there was a performance. And what was special about that performance, and will live forever in time, is the fact that the voice actors for the animated characters performed their roles, and they all have human bodies that are real bodies that have real human body proportions, not anime proportions. And there are some very interesting stories of at least one of the women in this film, known as AJ, has a very complicated history of having wanted to be a part of this whole K-pop scene and having had to go a different direction than they were expecting, composing their life and coming out the other side golden. Okay, so there we have it. I just gave you the song that they were singing. All right, so that was the first holiday was Thanksgiving. And I don't do Thanksgiving generally. This year I was very happy to sit in my cozy home and go from one screen with the Macy's moment to another screen with the New England American Indians movement, who are the people who are at Plymouth Rock all the time. I'm so happy that you like that song because I don't even want to be embarrassed about how wonderful I thought it was that if you are into math and if you are into science and if you are into mysticism and weave them all together, the song Golden in the movie K-pop Demon Hunters, actually has a golden mean, MEAN moment straight out of Fibonacci numbers. And it's at a climax at one of the parts of the movie. So magic in the numbers, magic in the math. No, I don't think they did that on purpose, but apparently when you analyze really good creativity, a lot of time it matches nature. And just like so many things in nature can reproduce the golden mean, so did Golden. Yeah. And if you look for that, you will see that there is on the internet at least one person who's done this analysis. So since you and I are in touch a lot, Phoebe, I'll find it for you. Don't look too hard. But that was the first holiday. We got halfway through the day. Americans figuring out how they're going to go home to families. I didn't have to deal with any of that. I'm very happy. We also don't do football in my house, so I didn't have to worry about football games and meals. And by the time we got to the evening, I was analyzing my relationship to movies as a moral compass for me as a young child, trying to figure out life, the universe, and everything. And by young, I mean 5. Really thinking about what do these adults think of this time of year? I have said before that I was a Easter and Christmas Christian household loosely, and many years we didn't go to church at all, not even on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. So, when that holiday has rolled around, I have been interpreting it through things like Miracle on 34th Street and A Christmas Carol in one of its myriad of forms, and It's a Wonderful Life. And what do all those movies offer? And I do credit this with another person on Substack had a great essay talking about how they had found in their life that they were led through many moral complicated moments or distressing moments by the words and the lyrics of white male people because they're looking at albums and music. And the music industry has favored certain kinds of people. Well, same thing for movies. I've learned much of my moral compass as a little girl around money and the holidays was shaped by those 3 movies, all about white men discontented with their lives, trying to figure out better ways. Miracle on 34th Street, we got is Santa Claus real or not? And a white male defending him. In the Scrooge or Christmas Carol or Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, whatever you want to call, whatever Dickens Christmas Carol version you have, there is a white man who needs to figure out how to wake up and live a spiritually meaningful life. And It's a Wonderful Life speaks for itself. Sadly, as I keep saying to people, you cannot take people who don't know that movie to that movie and tell them, oh, this is a really wonderful movie. You're going to love it. You have to give people a heads up that it's only a wonderful movie for the last 20 minutes of the movie. The rest of the movie, this man is long suffering, having a really hard time. And even the good moments in his life keep getting interrupted by bad stuff going on. But he wins in the end because an angel helps him through. So that's what I got. That at this time of year, I could look for peace on earth and goodwill through the eyes and the lens of white men. I am trying to learn my own way and find my own way back from that starting point. Next for me is the solstice, because my relationship with the solstice has been that I'm the Black Witch Doctor, baby, right? That's what I've been saying here. And you all know, of course, that I'm very happy to say I do have a book available for you all to purchase and read. At least get your libraries to stock it, but you can purchase it and read it. I would not recommend it as a holiday item because it is a serious book. I'm talking about some serious shit in there. But at the beginning of the year, in January, let's talk about it. In February, Black History Month, let's talk some more about it. And in March, Women's History Month, let's talk again. Oh, thank you. Phoebe just put in the chat that it's fabulous and that she has just finished it. I just got a call from either a reputable publishing house or somebody who's just trying to make money. But in either way, they created a beautiful book review of somebody who had it had come to their attention, and it almost moved me to tears. And then I thought, it's really hard to tell AI from real these days, but somebody out there is starting to read what I'm writing and think about what I'm writing about. And what I'm writing about is, how do we live full lives when we've had trauma in our past? My winter solstice is all about always going deep into the dark, going to the darkest part of the year, and then bringing the light back into the world through fire, usually a candle, some sort of a candle ritual. And then we go into another holy day, Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. For those of you who are celebrating the birth of the baby Jesus, I would just ask you to remember that every child is born with all of that power and potential. For many years in my life, my favorite way of blending that part of the Abrahamics into this time of the year was to create some kind of a wreath or a garland or a tree that actually had baby booties hanging on it. And each of those baby booties, I would write the name of a baby that grew up to be a famous person, like Jesus on the bottom of a little tennis shoe, or Buddha on the bottom of a sandal. And some of my favorites were things like Veronica DeFranco, who is a very famous Venusian courtesan. And I had a little tiny black patent leather shoe that had her name on it. But just the idea that the potential of a being that people want to talk about as Jesus the Christ, the anointed one, was born in a little tiny, tiny, tiny version with little tiny baby feet, and that we have made a big, big story out of their birth trauma drama. In my neck of the woods, which are very cold and frozen, we are thawing out the Protestant people up here. I just sent to my very well-intentioned loose church home. I say that because I'm an attendee and haven't committed myself to them, which may be frustrating, but it's hard for me to settle with places that don't have safety for me. So this beautiful church that's trying, and I'm not going to name them right now as I go into this, which could go anywhere. They have a nativity every year, and it is one of those great all participant nativities that a lot of more progressive Protestant communities have started to do. Hey, everybody who wants to be Mary, come on down. Everybody who wants to be uh, Joseph, come on down. In this particular congregation, it was not quite a no rehearsal. They had a family that volunteered to be the father and the mother and the baby Jesus. They had a live baby the year that I participated for the first and last time. And it was complicated because what was billed as a no rehearsal nativity was actually a little structured. So I got into a bit of an energetic clash with the nativity pageant director. I came dressed to be the heralding angel. I mean, I had a gold halo on my head. I had big gold wings because they had encouraged you to come and take whichever part you wanted. And that was actually a semi scripted part that no one had volunteered for. So there was this very awkward moment where I was standing at the back of the church all shiny and ready to be called up to the stage, and the pageant director didn't call me up to the stage. So I have decided that I will participate when they do this year by Zooming in. I have to say it, I have succumbed to the tragic post-pandemic tendency to, when in doubt, Zoom and don't walk, don't run, don't go, just participate long distance. It's my default, just like my default is to be off camera. And I want to apologize out loud for that. It is definitely fatigue that has a lot to do with how hard it is to be a post-pandemic culture, but it's also a fact that I get uncomfortable in the live spaces. I get so many little microaggressions in these churches of these people really trying that it's easier for me to be on the Zoom and off camera. All right. So I think that got us through, of the many holidays at this time of the year, little information about how I've spent my Christmas holidays. And I have often in my life been the person that allows you all to have your holiday because I'll work on the actual holiday. So as a physician, I would work on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and that was really great for my Christian counterparts. And then we have what is my favorite holiday to be confusing to most Americans, and that would be Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa started as an American holiday, a strategy in the 1960s by Black Americans of power and economic awareness to try to create a way for Black people to not spend so much money on the man, on the system. And that's what Kwanzaa was originally about, was to create edutainment, 7 days that made you think about different aspects of what it meant to be a powerful people, a part of a powerful tribe or community, and to be in cooperation. That's what the 7 principles are all about, different aspects of cooperating. I do think that I will likely do a Kwanzaa series here because the live streaming is so easy here that on the 26th, the 27th, the 28th, yeah, all the way through the 1st, I will do just a little 15-minute segment unless I see somebody else who's doing a better job. And that's what I love about Substack these days is I can support other people can support me. I'm not really it's not an influencer platform the way other social media is, at least at this point. And it may go in that direction, but for now, I'm finding a lot of people who really know how to write and are writing down the bones are here on Substack. And a lot of healers who are non-traditional and doing hoodoo and magic and spiritual connections and tarot cards and astrology are here on Substack. So I feel like that's a really fun place to hang out and talk about how we do our lives differently. We used to call that back in my day counterculture, but I am so counterculture that I think you'd have to flip me around 2 and 3 times and I would come out perhaps 3 or 4 standard deviations from the mean. So I have to be careful when I am looking at things because it's hard for me to see which lenses I'm squinting through for whatever is in front of me. Phoebe says, thank you for thawing out the Protestants. I am doing my best. There is in the world a Unitarian Universalist pro-Protestant subgroup called Covenant of Unitarian Universalist Protestants. In order to be a part of that, bureaucratically, one must register, and you can just be a member like any other guild nationally. But in order to have your own chapter, you need to be sponsored by an existing Unitarian organization. There are no organizations in Vermont of covenants of Unitarian Universalist pagans, so I just wander around. And at this time of the year, I wander around with a lot of awareness about how stressed people can get. The food stress is what I'd like to talk about next. I just did a really great consultation with a friend, and I'm doing consultations now that are considered health assurance. You can go to my website and see that this will be in January. I'm taking a break the next couple of weeks. But you can hire me, and I will give you a health assurance plan in a nice, sweet little package that is just an hour long. And because I am a Black witch doctor, you will get your health assurance plan plus a turbo tarot reading. That's the other specialty that I am enjoying these days. A one card tarot reading that often is uncannily on target for what you might be looking at or thinking of in the moment. My card for the day happens to be the card that I have added to an existing deck of archetypes. I added to the deck the idea of the archetype of the biddy, Biddie. Yes, I know that is a derogatory term used in New England to describe an older woman who is in other people's business a lot. Okay? 99.9% of the time of the minimally melanated variety. And I think it's really great that when you have an archetype in this particular model, there's a light and there's a shadow aspect. So I created that card and said the light aspect is that people of that archetype, usually women, will be very, very helpful and often are coming from wealthy backgrounds and are very charitable and give away a lot of money. The shadow aspect is that they also tend to want to be extremely controlling of that money and not quite give it away, but, you know, give you some of it and then have a lot of control over it. And they often are very gossipy. So, as I said, that was my card for the day, which means that maybe I have some work to do on feeling that gossipy, off balance. Yes, it's that time of the year where we are generous with our funds, but how much control do we really give away? Do we give away the money, or do we just charitably give it to people with a lot of strings attached to it? So, something to think about. And I guess the other thing besides looking at the food that we ingest is two things, because I always have to go to the medical because I'm a doctor. What can I say? Doctors raised this way just always want to go back to a little bit of the science. So I am having a fascinating week as I go down several rabbit holes to try to look at some of the physiologic issues that have to do with women's health, particularly our pelvic health and our microbiome of our guts. There is more and more and more information coming out about how unhealthy Americans are with respect to what should be living in your gut from your top of your swallowing tube all the way down to the other end and what's actually there. So one of the things that surprised me is there's data that there is a organism in our guts or in the guts of the people who are coming out with type 2 diabetes that when addressed and killed off, it actually affects the insulin resistance and the insulin resistance starts to go down. I think people know that when I was speaking about endometriosis a week ago with Mindy Blank, you can find that interview over on my YouTube channel, Dr. O's Medicine Show. When we were talking, it turns out that at least 6 out of 10 cases of that particular problem, endometriosis, seem to be tied to the presence of a bacteria called a fusobacterium. Can you just imagine what it feels like to be a woman who may be living with something that took years and years to diagnose to know that there may be antibiotics out there that could fix this problem for us? Same thing with what is going on with our gut, that antibiotics and other herbal substances we could take and kill off bad bacteria and have a change in a metabolic disease like diabetes. Wow. So this is really new. And it's also kind of interesting that we don't seem to learn. There was another bacteria called H. pylori. I don't know if anybody out there remembers that for a while, the doctors who were trying to convince the world that there was bacteria in your stomach that was causing ulcer disease. They were laughed at, they were poo-pooed, they were what we call pilloried, and they were right. So the world continues to change, and we continue to learn more and more about the edges of medicine. Ulcer causing bacteria, exactly, H. pylori. And they believe for a long time, well, it's too acidic. Nothing can live there. So again, I think science would be best to not use the word never. And we know that science is under attack in all kinds of ways. I'm not going into the politics of that. So it started off with some musings as a mystic about all of the different aspects of the light holidays at this time of the year, wandered through Kwanzaa, and got to end up with New Year's. Because New Year's is one of the saddest, because we are all resetting and we are all thinking with hope that maybe we can start again. And the starting again after 2025, can I just say, can we crawl towards the finish line? Every time I wake up, the orange apocalypse has done something else degrading and pissing on people who look like me. That would be female and black or brown. And I have to say that this last round, as we creep towards January, is getting very, very difficult. He took the national park pass that you used to be able to get on Martin Luther King's birthday free and stopped it. It's not free on Martin Luther King's birthday anymore. You do know whose birthday it will be free on, of course. His birthday, of course. And as a person who used to work at the Kennedy Center as an usher in my youth, I can't tell you how much it hurts my heart to see that man anywhere near that building, but particularly this week, him making jokes with the people on the stage around him told me that we are at the end of days, because we are certainly at the end of culture. What, whatever he was doing down there, I'm sorry. It has broken my heart, but I am strong. My heart is, like Leonard Cohen said, breaking open to let the light go in. So we have less than 5 minutes on my scheduled time. If any of you all who are watching, and I do appreciate that I have an audience out there, would like to stick anything in the chat about mysticism, holidays, light holidays, where we as a culture go, ho, 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 at this time of the year, please take advantage of the winding down that I'm doing at the end here. And you have heard me say that I hang out with many different languages of health and healing. One of them is the language of the 12-step recovery rooms. So you know what we all who started off through the AA program think about the complexities of a happy new year. So as we come towards that end, and I look at the clients I've had lately, one of whom I actually realized that I wouldn't be seeing or talking to likely for another month. It's like, I have to say to you, see you next year. We are actually at that time where we get to say to people, see you next year. And I have to say, this has been one of the most difficult, emotionally difficult years of my entire life, and I've had a lot of years. So Phoebe says never did like the holidays. Yeah, I do express myself by saying happy holidays to people, and having people not even notice that I didn't say holiday is a really good way for me to vent a little bit of my stress at this time of the year. So I invite you all to end now with me by doing a little ditty of a song that I won't know all the words to, but I want to honor all the holidays, and I feel like I did do Hanukkah a disservice. All right, so we have to start with don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through your love and your fears. I think that is how it goes. So that is Peter, Paul, and Mary light one candle, as in light one candle for the Maccabee children. And that was a miracle of one candle that the oil lasted for the full holiday. So I want to believe in miracles and believe that we as a people, American people, can last through 4 years and that our essential oils will not go out. Sometimes I feel like I'm in the movie The Dark Crystal, which has the pod people who you have to watch the movie because I'm not going to fill you in on this, get kind of like the pod people get fed upon by the Skeksis. And yeah, 4 years. We're through one, Phoebe, almost through one. So on that note, I say to everybody, good night. Do sleep tight. I don't any longer have to worry about bed bugs biting. I have been a full week with no bed bugs. Everybody knows about my story there, but I still have to get over my shock of having to do that. So I'm going to let my habits go back to normal slowly. Again, good night. I'll do this again next week. Not sure what we're going to talk about. We're not going to do real medical topics again until we get back into the new year of 2026. Bonsoir et au revoir to you as well. Good night to everyone.